Hello traders, welcome to this week's analysis. We are going to be kicking things off with gold. Now, last week on gold, I was bullish. So let's go to the lower time frames and look at what we look like. Last week on gold, I actually predicted that price will be coming into 2,409 as seen on last week's video's thumbnail. Now on the 4-hour time frame, price was trading around here last week. Then going into last week, I actually anticipated that price was going to come into this zone. Let's even go to the 1-hour time frame. Now on the 1-hour time frame, this was what I had to say last week. On the 1-hour time frame, I can see this demand level around here. So I'd like to see price come down and then rally to our target here. Welcome back, guys. You can see price actually pulled back into that demand level and price took off from that area, and thankfully I saw so many feedbacks from that. Many people testified to making a ton of profit from that. Congratulations to you guys once again. So price moved and came into our target of 2,409. Now going into next week, I'll go back to the 4-hour time frame. Now going into next week, our next target is going to be this highest point here, which is 2431. Let's go to a much lower time frame and see how we can capitalize on this move. Now this is the new target. So what I'd like to do is, if you notice on gold, price has been creating a nice wave. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, price has been creating a nice wave of bullish price action, right? From this point, price pushed higher, from this point rather, price pushed higher, creating a new higher high, breaking above this previous zone here, then came back to retest that zone, then pushed higher again, creating a new higher high, then came back to retest that zone, then pushed up again, created a new higher high, then came back to retest that zone. Now we are here. So it's either price just makes its way directly into that zone before we start seeing any form of pullback, or maybe a continuous push upward. But if we are coming for a pullback, I would like to see price pull back into this area here, which is around 2396.33. So I'd like to see price pull back into that region before we now come to this, my target for next week, which is 2431. All right, so let's go to a much lower time frame to get a clearer picture of what I'm talking about. So going into next week, let's see if I can get a trend line to connect these areas together. Okay, perfect. Let me delete all this noise on our screen so that we have a clean screen. Good. So I'm going to maybe put a zone around here like this. So hopefully I'd like to see price pull back into this region before we take off to this point. Let's see if we can have a confluence using our Fibonacci retracement tool here. Let's see if we can get a confluence. All right, so our confluence will be around 0.618 or 0.7 region. All right, bottom line, if you are getting in here, if you get your confirmation, because you don't just execute blindly, right? You want some entry confirmation depending on your strategy. At letstrade10x.com, we have our own entry bias, entry confirmation, entry strategy, and all of that. So if you have yours, then if you're looking for a buy around here, make sure you apply that. Don't just set a pending order because I said so, because price can easily just fall back to the downside. Anything is possible in the market. All right, but with this bullish price action we're experiencing at the moment, and with this nice wave of higher highs and higher lows, I would like to see price come into this region, hopefully tap into this trend line here on this 1-hour time frame, connecting this point 1, 2, and maybe 3. You can refine it however you like. Bottom line is, I'd like to see price come into this zone, or worst case scenario, this area here. All right, something like this before we continue higher. However, my target for next week is 2431.375. We could break above it and continue higher. It's very, very possible because the market is in a complete bullish trend at the moment. So even any major pullback is just going to be a pullback for price to eventually continue higher. So my bearish scenario will be for price to take out all these zones and let's say break below this this 2374.700 area, break below it, come back for a retest, then we'll trade into this low here, which is 2,339.056. That would be a bearish scenario, but I am more bullish than bearish. This is just a fail safe. The bearish side is just a fail safe in case, let's say, we are looking for buys, we lose money, we can easily recoup our losses from this short sell down here. That's why I usually like to have plan A and B, but I am leaning towards the bullish side of things. All right. So I'll move a little bit quickly today because I have a flight to catch right after recording this video. All right. So I won't be analyzing much today. So this is DXY. DXY, let's go to the weekly time frame so that you understand why we have that this purple, whatever that color may be. I want to explain why we have that. Meanwhile, let me limit this to the lower time frame. Good. All right, so on this weekly time frame, yes, if you look at the past couple of weeks, price has been super bearish. That's the truth. Price has been super bearish. Even though I'm bullish minded on DXY, on the US dollar, price has been super bearish. We've been making money because I've been giving plan A and plan B, so we're not left out from this bearish price action, right? If we go to the other pairs, you're going to see what I'm talking about. But on this weekly time frame on dollar index, between this point to this point, I want you to observe something. Price is creating a high, a higher low. We created a higher high here. This is a higher low. For now, I am expecting price to still come into this high here. All right. Now that's scenario one, since price is in a bullish trend, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? But if a weekly candlestick closes below this pink zone, then guys, I will be anticipating that price is going to fall into 101.627. All right, why is that? This zone is a strong zone. If price can find enough momentum to break below this zone that has been tested multiple times, looking left, if price can now break below it, then guys, we are coming down to these lows here. Sorry, these lows here. All right. But for now, I'm still anticipating a bullish price action since we are going with the trend. But let's go to the daily time frame. I'll show you how not to make irrational decision because of confusion or whatever. So on this daily time frame, we can see that trend line properly, see the first touch, second touch, this is the third touch. Just like I predicted last week. I mean, if we go to the 4-hour time frame, remember last week I said if price tap into this zone, we are going to see a reverse. Now let's quickly revisit what I said last week. So if price continues lower on DXY, then I am looking at price coming to this demand level here, which will form the third touch to this trend line, something like this. If price continues lower, I will be expecting it to come into this demand level here so that we can push higher. Welcome back, guys. So you can see how price tapped into that zone. On this daily time frame, it may not look much, but if you go to a much lower time frame, like the 15 minutes, 1 hour, this is the 4-hour anyways, so you can see that significant rejection. Money was made here also. So but in the meantime, price is in a bearish trend, creating a low, lower high, lower low. We may come here, tap into here to create a new lower high before we drop. But if you're a swing trader and you are looking to hold trade for over a long period of time, then I would advise that in between these two trend lines, you should be sitting on the sidelines. Well, my strategy permits me to trade within those zones, but I can't explain that in this video. Like you already know, it takes a lot of time, and on these YouTube videos, we are looking at time management and all of that. So if you're looking to swing trade, you cannot trade between these two trend lines, right? Because you cannot get any significant move. So you want to be in the clear to be able to make a good solid swing trading decision. So what I'd like to see is for price, if price is going to continue bearish, then I'd like to see price break below this trend line. You already know where this lower trend line is coming from. So wait for price to break below that lower trend line and below this 4-hour zone. All right, break below it, come back to retest that zone, then this is where we want to be looking for sells. All right, with our stop loss above, our take profit all the way down into around 101.598. All right, so but for bullish scenario, then you want to be patient enough for price to take out this upper trend line here and this 105.094 area. You want to see price break out of it, when that happens, we'll be experiencing a new higher high, obviously, right? So then we'll wait for price to pull back into that zone, then wait for confirmation, put our stop loss below, and then we can trade into these obvious highs around here. That's if you want to swing trade. But like I said earlier, our strategy at let's310x.com allows us trade within these zones. All right, so that is my buying and selling scenario on DXY. I'll go to EURUSD to tell you how I'm going to be taking advantage of this. If we go to the daily time frame on EURUSD, remember this area was my overall target, right, for last week, and price last week came into that area. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Is there anything interesting on the weekly time frame? All right, the weekly time frame looks like it's coming to this point. All right, let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Now on the 4-hour time frame, if for price to continue bullish, remember last week my target was around here. All right, I told you to be patient. I encourage us to be patient so that we don't jump in too early and get stopped out. We need to be in the clear so that we can now trade into this zone here. So this was what I had to say about this target last week. Now wait for price to break above that trend line and above this price level here, which is 1.08125. So wait for price, a 4-hour candlestick, to break above, then go to a much lower time frame. In my case, like the 15 minutes or 30 minutes time frame, wait for pullbacks, wait for my confirmation, then I will trade into this demand level here, just like what we welcome back, guys. So you can see trading is all about patience. Now price broke above that. If you come back to the 15 minutes time frame, you can notice how price broke above that zone, came back for a retest, and took off into this zone, just like I rightly predicted, this 46 pip move to this upside here. Of course, price continued higher, but I mean, money was obviously made around here. So let's go back to the 4-hour time frame and look at what we should be expecting next week. So going into next week, I will still be bullish until price breaks below this trend line and below this area here. Let me even put a line there below this support area here, which is 1.07964. So two areas I'll be looking for buys will be for price to break above this zone, create a new higher high on this 4-hour time frame, come back for a pullback, then I'll switch over to the lower time frame. All right, look for my entry strategy to play out, then I will trade into 1.192. So that's my bullish target. So price could either go this way, create a new higher high, come back for a retest before we go bullish, or price may come into this region before we go bullish. All right, you need to look at those two possibilities right there. Look at those two possibilities right there. Very important. But for me to go bearish, price has to take out this 1.07964 to the downside. Then I will wait for a pullback. All right, go to a much lower time frame, look for our entry strategy. You know, there are we use 3 confluences before we sell. Then we'll sell into this area here, anywhere around here, let's say 1.07280. All right, so those are my buys and sell scenarios on EURUSD. So the last on my list for this week is GBPUSD. Now GBPUSD, first of all, I want to look at the bullish side of things, but before we do that, I'll go to the daily time frame. So for those that participated in our live session on Telegram last 2 weeks, I believe you must have taken advantage of this trade. All right, if you remember on the 4-hour time frame, I was like, should price continue bullish, this area is going to be my next target. That is if price breaks above this zone. Now price broke above it and we traded all the way into that zone. Now price is at that zone and it is stalling. So my bullish scenario right now is for price to create a new higher high. All right, like this, break above this region, which is 1.27042, break above it, creating a new higher high, come back for a retest, go to a much lower time frame and buy into these highs here, which will give us a 98 pip move to the upside. So now that is scenario 1, which is my buying scenario, which is more likely to play out. But for price to go bearish, right, I would like to see price on this 4-hour time frame give us a new lower low, go back for a pullback before we come into this zone. What do I mean? Let me explain. Let's go to the 15 minutes time frame to do that. So on the 15 minutes time frame, remember our bullish scenario is above here, so the upside here. But the bearish scenario, I'll come to this slower time frame, wait for price to break below these areas that has been tested multiple times. I would like to see price break below it, come back for a retest. Then I would like to catch a trade here. My stop loss will be above. Then I will trade into these lows here, which will be around 1.25912. 1.25912. Am I correct? Yeah, 912. So those are my bullish and bearish scenarios on GBP USD going into next week. But I am more bullish than bearish, all right? Because price so far has been super bullish and super bearish on DXY. All right, so I won't be able to continue further today. I still have a lot of things that I should have talked about, but we may do that within the week on one of our live sessions. I'm sorry, I was so busy preparing for my journey that I'm about to make after this video throughout last week. That was why I couldn't come on the live last week, but I promise I'm going to do that this new week that we are getting into. If you made it this far and you're yet to hit that subscribe button or like this video, guys, what are you waiting for? This is the little way you can support this channel. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like this video. Also do well to share and leave a comment where necessary. I wish you a successful trading week, and I'm going to see you in our next video. Bye, guys.